Welcome back to another edition of the Charleston Ghoul Show with me, Mr. Bonetangles, Charleston's first and only puppet radio show host. November 14th is the night of the largest supermoon in nearly 70 years. And we all know that supermoon means super savings. $10 off knit socks, 50% off unicycle pedicab rides. Yes, that's right, it's the shopper's moon. Hold on. Excuse me. No, I'm sorry. Oh, my people are telling me no, that's not what supermoon means. My apologies to those of you listening to the show. So what does it... Oh, supermoon is actually when the moon swings by Earth real close. And it looks kind of cool and everyone is like, hey, what's up, baby? I see you, moon. Supermoon. For us here on the east side of Charleston, it means flooded roads and reflective moonlit streets. And tonight, we will look into those reflections and use that supermoon to shed some light on one of the most politically charged issues hanging over Charleston, South Carolina, gentrification. I know it's a big subject for a little guy, but we assume the negative intonation of the word gentrification to encompass tones of displacement, under and overdevelopment, newcomers and oldcomers, placemaking and placekeeping. We will take a look at who is being pushed out and who is shoving their way onto this peninsula in this game of neighborhood musical chairs. We call this episode the Battle for the Peninsula. It's a fight that has been waging since before the British named this peninsula Charlestown. There has always been a struggle for control of this sliver of land, even before it was one of the hottest tourist cities in the world. This competition has given us a long list of classic throwdowns and heated rivalries. It started with oysters versus seagulls. Then it was the British versus the Native Americans. Then it was the British versus venereal disease. Then it was the British versus the colonials. Then it was American versus American in the North and the South and all that whole thing. Then it was the hurricanes versus the earthquakes. Then it was surf versus turf back when there was a Sizzler on King Street. You remember the Sizzler on King Street? The place sucked. Anyway, who can forget mosquitoes versus palmetto bugs? There was also puppets versus clowns. Can't believe clown won. Didn't see that coming. Now, the fight for this land continues in 2016, but who will the adversaries be? Who will gain control of the peninsula? Is it poor people versus rich people? Black people versus white people? Is it country people versus city people? Educated versus the ignorant? Initiated versus uninitiated? Star-bellied versus no star-bellies? What do you think?
Now, wait a minute here now, Mr. Bonetangles. What in the world are you talking about? I don't want you starting no stuff up in the spot. With all that stuff coming out of your jaw.
Well, what do you mean? You know, I'm a comedian and an entertainer. This is all just part of the show. I'm just playing the part of the oblivious jerk.
I understand, but let's not be a real jerk, Mr. Bonetangles. This, I think, is a pretty serious subject that we've got to speak about in a serious way. I don't think there's anything to be joked about, Mr. Bonetangles.
I see. Well, I hope, Deborah, I hope my comic stylings have not offended you in any way.
It'll take a lot more to do that.
Okay. I mean, I'm a funny puppet radio show host, so talking about serious things is tough for me. But I still feel like I should have a voice on the subject. I mean, it wouldn't be any better if I was polite and didn't say anything, you know? But I don't know how to raise the conversation without being obnoxious, because that's one of my trademark features. Maybe you can help me.
Okay.
Would you like to be my interview for my Supermoon show?
Of course.
Oh, I think you'll be great.
Well, okay. Let's do this.
Well, we're already here at your place, the Fair Deal Grocery, the Spot 47. And so this is your place. It's been in your family for since when?
1953.
I'll bet you can tell me a thing or two about this neighborhood and what you've seen, the way it changed.
I think I can.
Well, I'm here with my lovely neighbor and friend, Deborah Powell Anderson, who is the manager of Fair Deal Grocery, the Spot 47 on Charleston's east side. Deborah, what is the history of Fair Deal Grocery?
Well, you know, Mr. Bonetangles, I've got to tell you that my mom and dad, my mom and dad started this business back in 1953. And the two of them with the 4 kids. As a matter of fact, my mom was expecting my brother that's just a little older than I am. But they all came into this business together, and it quickly grew to to become the staple of the community here on the east side on Cooper Street. This business has served so many families. My mother has helped to raise so many kids. They always say it takes a village. Well, the spot, Fairview Grocery, the spot 47, was pretty much that village that helped to raise so many kids and love so many families in this community.
Serving almost not just as a business in the local, a place to pick up a Snickers bar, but almost more of a community center.
Exactly. We did all kinds of things here at the spot. Anything from playing checkers, playing chess, watching television, listening to music. It was the meeting spot for the community, and we all loved it. Just loved it.
Well, what changes have you seen in Charleston? They're rapidly growing and changing city. Every place is always in flux. Nowhere is in static. It always is going to change. But Charleston seems to be changing pretty dramatically and pretty quickly. And with your perspective and deep roots here on the east side of Charleston, I wonder what you've observed, what you've seen in terms of the way the neighborhood is changing.
Now, Bonetangles, are you talking about that gentrification thing you mentioned?
Sure. I mean, there's, it's a conversation, like you said, that needs to be taken seriously. And
Yes.
I am, I want to give it respect, even though I'm a Canadian puppet skeleton,
Yes.
right? But everybody should have some stake, some level of interest in the conversation of what's happening. I live right around the corner from you.
Yes,
I
you
come
do.
over here for beers and Snicker bars and company, and you hug me and welcome me and treat me like a friend from the very beginning. So I feel some level of responsibility to know who I'm friends with and where I live. And as a newcomer, whose shoulders am I standing on?
Well, Mr. Bonetangles, the community has really changed a lot. As a young girl growing up here and going to school here, it was predominantly, it was all an African American community. Nobody else of any other color lived here for all of those years. And now we have a community in which there are other races of people living here, and we're living, coming together, all living together. And it's one of those things in which, in many ways, it's a good thing because it helps us to realize that we are all human beings. That one race, the human race. So the community has changed, but it's still nice because we all come together here at the spot. We enjoy each other's company. As you being my neighbor, you're a little lighter than I am, but that's okay. I love you, Mr. Bonetangles. And we come together in harmony and fun right here at the spot. No problems at all. What do you think?
Well, I love the neighborhood. I love being here, and I appreciate the positive outlook and the nod towards the neighborhood being stronger and better with diversity. I couldn't agree more. Have there been any bumps in the road for you, or negative aspects at all to the way the neighborhood has changed? Have you seen anybody or anything displaced?
No bumps in the road at all. As a matter of fact, I tell people whenever they come around, especially here at the spot, because I'm here pretty much all the time. I go home and take a nap and come back and we're here. But I tell people all of the time that when you come into this location, if you can handle the reality of being loved, appreciated, the safe environment, having fun, with a whole lot of people that you will fall in love with, then the spot's not the place to come. But if you can handle that, Mr. Bonetangles, you can be here with me as long as I'm here. We don't have any problems in our community. We have an awesome community.
I agree. I dig it. I love it here. I tackle issues like this because I want to shed a light, tell a story,
Yes.
and you're definitely well worth hanging out and getting to know you better. And you said your family started this business here in 1953.
That's right, 63 years ago.
63-year tradition.
That's right.
And you've done renovations. The place has changed since I
It
moved here.
has. It really has.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, before the building itself is from the 1930s. And so it needed some updating. We had some damage from a flood a year or so ago. In Charleston, it floods all the time. A little bit of rain, a lot of
Yes.
flood. It happens, high tide flood. But we ended up having damage and we had to make repairs. So we thought, why not take it to a level that could be more appreciated? We updated some things. What do you think? Look around. You like the spot?
I think it's top notch. But a
Yes.
sign out front that says beer burger.
Yes.
That caught my attention right
Yes.
away.
As a matter of fact, Mr. Bonetangles, that sign was originally hung in 1953. Burger beer is actually a drink. It's a beverage. It is a beer. I know. But a lot of people in the community see the sign and they go, they're going to sell burgers and beer. So, of course, we sell burgers. So it's all good. And we sell beer and wine.
And is there still a product called burger beer?
There's a product called burger beer, and they're making it, they're actually brewing it again. And we're doing our best to get some of it here in South Carolina.
I need to get me a burger beer.
Yes, you do. You do. But you know, Mr. Bonetangles, may I share one more thing with you?
I would love it if you would.
You know, a lot of people aren't aware of this, but one of the things that I do, I'm an author. And I have traveled around the country and abroad, speaking to so many people about race relations. And Mr. Bonetangles, when we look at our community and gentrification, so often people get confused. I'm writing a new book. Did you know that I was writing a new book, Mr. Bonetangles?
I didn't. This is hot news.
Hot off the shelf. Press release. I'm writing a new book. And the title of that book is Conversations in Black and White with Some Shades of Gray. I'm going to say it again. Conversations in Black and White with Some Shades of Gray. And in that book, Mr. Bonetangles, I have spoken with so many people. And we talk openly and honestly about race relations. And I tell people all the time, if you don't want to know the truth, don't ask me, because I give it honestly. But in those conversations, we have relationships in our community, in which, around the United States as a matter of fact, nationwide, relationships in which we have one group of people who have for many, many years been the dominant race of people. And you might want to know, what are others saying about it? Let me share this with you. They're saying that the originally dominant race of people are individuals who are right now afraid because the United States seems to be changing to a more browner tone of people as opposed to just that one race. And the fear is there, but a lot of people want it to be known that there should not be any fear. That fear needs to be let go of. And they feel that those people they feel that those people have gone through a period in which they felt entitled and privileged. And that needs to go away. And then we have another race of people whose ancestors were enslaved. And they were taught to not even like themselves and to judge each other based upon things that are lies, hair texture and skin color. And it's amazing how within that group of people, Mr. Bonetangles, there is something still called mental slavery. And they're still dealing with that. And the people who represent the shades of gray, they're all saying, what the heck is wrong with the black and the white? Why can't they come together the way that we come together and work together? So I just want to say, Mr. Bonetangles, as human beings, because that's the only race of people, as human beings, we've got to all wake up and realize that what's on the external is merely something that comes from where our ancestors grew up, where they grew up, where they lived. And as a result, we have these shades. But if we can go beneath the shades of skin color, we will realize that we're the same. Mr. Bonetangles, do you like to live under a roof? Would you like to have a roof over your head?
Always.
What about a safe place for your family?
Just the basics. What else? That's
Junior Bone and Sally Bone Tangles? Yes. And then what about knowing that you can have a place to work, to earn a living, to be able to pay your bills? Those are the things that you want. Are they important, Mr. Bonetangles?
of course.
Well, believe it or not, those things are important to all of us. And we have got to let go of the ignorance of racism. We have got to stop fighting each other.
I want to address your comment about the fear of a power class, a dominant sector, being afraid that they will lose that power, lose that control. I mean, that's something that you're hearing a lot of pundits refer to as a major driver in the way this election turned out. That caught me by surprise and so many people by surprise, but you look at the Rust Belt states and swing states and see the way they turned out and what was motivating the people there. A lot of people were sort of looking, giving the eye to the angry white male syndrome. We're afraid we're going to lose control and we want to make America great again, and what does that mean? Is that maybe code for something else?
Well, you know, Mr. Bonetangles, I had a friend talk to me this morning, and he went to breakfast in an area just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, and he said that there was an elderly white couple there, and he didn't know these people, and my friend just happens to be African American, and he said that the lady looked at him and started singing "Happy Days Are Here Again," and it just threw him off. You know, this election
threw him off.
Oh gosh, yes.
Lucky it didn't make him throw up.
I know. But you know, it was very disturbing because this
say.
whole process and the whole piece of a lot of people feeling as though they're about to lose out. I can totally empathize. I understand it because if you've been living with something all of your life and you feel as though it's about to be taken away from you, that can be a very scary thing. But Mr. Bonetangles, I want to give some hope here and saying that our country has a lot of young people who are so sharp. And I'm speaking about individuals who are in their late 30s on down. When I speak to them, their conversation is totally different. They are the ones who understand it. They are getting it. The fact that we are one race of people. No one is above or better than the other. No one should be entitled. No one should feel privileged. No one should be hating him or herself just because based on the color of their skin and the texture of their hair and all of that other ignorant nonsense junk.
Amen.
Mr. Bonetangles, these young people are coming together like you would not believe. Because when we all truly wake up and learn to love ourselves, learn to love those who look most like you, so that you can then learn to meet, understand, appreciate, and love those who don't look as much like you. When we do that, Mr. Bonetangles, guess what? We will be together as one. The ignorance of racism will begin to disappear, and the children to come, your grandchildren and their children, Mr. Bonetangles, will live in a United States of America in which the government is for the people, of the people, by the people, one that is united in love, peace, and harmony, and we can all live together without ever having to call it gentrification. So with that being said, Mr. Bonetangles, dance.
Yeah, of course. I'll end the show with a little shimmy, but I do want to say that was beautifully put. I need to acknowledge what you just said.
Yes.
It's deep, it's wise, it's why I wanted to talk to you, and you put it in terms and with an eloquence that I could not do appropriately. And I thank you. You really did guide me on a journey that gave me a lot to think about. But now let me do my thing and make it a little lighthearted with a little puppet shimmy.
Dance, Mr. Bonetangles. A new puppet Bonetangles, and he danced for us.
Okay.
Worn out shoes.